and welcome to the 30th episode of China Tools. My name is Dennis and I am from Hooked on Wood. And in this episode, 3 new products like this parallel guide system, this upgraded and improved rail guide clamp, and a solid T-ruler. But there's more. This is a special episode because there is a double 11 sales event at the release of this video at Banggood. And like every other marketplace, there is a sales event almost every month, and that is why I usually do not mention a sales event or price drop, because I do not want to turn my videos into a commercial. But like last year, the Double 11 Festival is the only exception I will make, because that is a big thing at Banggood, and I never saw prices drop further than at the Double 11 Festival. It's even bigger than Black Friday. So I will also show some of my personal favorites of the last 30 episodes, because I think there will not be a better moment if you are interested in such a product. So let's get started, because we have some exciting products to show. The first product is this rail guide clamp, and in episode 22 I tested these Drillpro rail guide clamps and they look very similar. And I compared this Drillpro version with the BIG clamps, and you could clearly see the differences in fit and finish. The BIG was clearly the better clamp at this point, but in practice they operated the same. And if you look at my site, you can see how I rated all the products I have tested in the past. And this Drillpro clamp I rated 4 stars, even though they were not as nicely finished as the BIG clamps. So let us see how much better this version is. The brand name is Veiko, and almost all products I got from Veiko are packed perfectly. And this set of 2 clamps are no exception. That is a significant improvement over the Drillpro clamp. But also the fit and finish improved almost on every point. The paint is much better with the Veiko clamp, and the handles are nicer rounded. The iron of the bridge is not only better cast, but it is also a bit thicker and has a sharper profile. And the clamps include a protective pad now. The last thing Veiko improved is that they put a nut at the end of the tail to prevent the ratchet from slipping off. And that is a good thing, because that was annoying with the Drillpro clamp. But because they use a nut, you can also remove it in case you need it. And that is with the BIG not possible. To summarize, the overall impression is a lot better than the clamp from episode 22. In fact, if I compare it now with the BIG clamp, the BIG is still better finished, but it comes significantly closer now. I measured the clamping force, and that is the same as the BIG clamp. But when I wanted to film this, my power meter ran out of battery life and did not know where the cable was to charge it, so unfortunately I cannot show it to you. But as I showed in episode 22, these clamps are very powerful. It is no problem to create a clamping force of over 100 kg. They are very sturdy without any flex. And if we compare them to these kind of clamps, although nice clamps, they are not as powerful and have a lot more flex. So in the end I was pretty excited about the improvements they made. And if you have an MFT table or use dog holes in your workbench, these clamps are very nice to use. They work fast and have a very high clamping force. But to use them, your tabletop should not be thicker than 20 mm, otherwise they will not fit. And now during the Double 11 Festival, they cost only $32 for a set of 2. So that is even less than the Drillpro version. And this is my scoring card. One of my favorites, not because they are fancy products, but because it is an essential tool in your shop. And I reviewed this square and this mitered square in episode 7. And I tested them for accuracy, and they were exact. And the square has an accuracy according to the DIN 8750 norm, which is lab quality. And both give me the best setup for the different styles I have. And because of that, my cuts are accurate. And these are my reference squares. And it is hard to get such a precise reference for an attractive price. Especially the mitered square can be very expensive. And at the time of the review, the square was a little bit over $15. And that price stayed almost the same. But the mitered square was during the review $23, and now with the Double 11 Festival just $20. And if you watch episode 7, you'll see why this mitered square is even better and more practical than my over $100 Inqua square. And if you do not have accurate reference squares yet, these two are a no-brainer. One of the few products I rated 5 stars with an exceptional quality stand is this cabinet drill guide, and I recently used it for my new workbench, and it's such a joy to work with. And it starts when you grab the hard case box and assemble the pieces. Everything is of such a nice quality. It works accurately and has suitable dimensions to use on different sized drawers, and I reviewed it last year in episode 10. And at the time of this review the price was around €37, so around $40, and it's worth every dollar if you ask me. And now during the Double 11 sales event it's only $26, which is an insane price for this product. And in Europe the import regulations changed last summer, but these prices all include tax now, so there are no additional costs. But I would advise keeping the total order under €150 to avoid import duties. Make 2 orders if necessary. The next product is this parallel guide system, and that can be a very nice product for everyone who wants to make accurate, repeatable cuts with a track saw. And I say everyone, but this system only works with the Festool, Makita and Triton rail guide. And if you think it looks familiar, you are right. A little bit too familiar for my taste, but I got a lot of requests to review this product, so here it is. The packaging is even more essential for a more expensive product, and they deliver on that point. And although there's not a manual included, it is not difficult to assemble it. They clearly made a copy of the woodpecker's parallel guide system, but unfortunately not exactly, and that did not make this system better. If you look at the build quality, it looks lovely. The main body brackets and flipstops look very nice and solid and are of high quality. The overall impression is very good and solid, especially when you consider the price. Its reach is 120 centimeters, which is suitable enough for most situations. Essential for such a system is that you can calibrate it correctly, and the woodpecker's version has 2 marks on it where to place the flipstops during calibration. But this version lacks these marks. And the second difference is that the first ruler bar starts with 0. But you attach this to a guide rail, and because you cut at the right side of the guide rail, the scale will never correspond with the cut line. So that is a shame. And if you want to know how to calibrate the system without these marks, I will show you how I did that at the end of this video. After calibration we can make accurate and repeatable cuts by setting the flipstop at the size you want. But you have to add 20 centimeters to the ruler readings. To place the flipstops at the right point, you have to hold the arm against the ruler and tighten it at the right place. And although this works, I would prefer a system with a needle to place it more accurately. To test its accuracy, I made a cut at 72 centimeters. And for this I had to set up my flipstop at 52, so 20 centimeters less. But it was very well possible to make an accurate and square cut with this system. I needed to cut some cabinet doors and decided to use this system to see how accurate you can make repeatable cuts. And the result is perfect. In episode 29 I tested these small dog hole clamps and I rewarded it 4.5 stars. And I decided to make my new workbench top of 2 layers of wood because I thought it was a good alternative to the rail guide clamps. And I cannot use my rail guide clamps anymore because of this. So I have to do it mainly with these clamps now. And I love them even more than during my review. Now I have more experience with them. They work so fast and are so easy to use that it is a joy to have them on your workbench. Besides that, they create a pretty good clamping force. During my review the price was $17, and now during the sales festival they even lowered the price to under $15. And I'm pretty sure you will not regret buying a few of them. Also from a recent video comes this Doweling Jig, and it's so different than other Doweling Jigs and it works fantastic. It's one of the fastest and easiest to use Doweling Jig when you want to make a cabinet. It all fits perfectly and it's not at all difficult to use. Aligning this Doweling Jig is very accurate and fast. In fact, the system works so fast that I compare it with my Domino and the time saving is limited. There's so much to tell about this device that when it sounds interesting to you, watch my episode 27, because you will love how it works. And the only thing I can add to this episode is that you can also choose a black color at this moment, and that you can buy different size bushings separately when you need other dimensions. And during the Double 11 festival they even dropped the price to under $80, making this jig even more attractive. This is a product every woodworker needs in some form, and I think this is the best version of a corner square you can get. It's a high quality product and they packed it the best way possible. It is the only corner square you can use this way, and that makes assembling a small cabinet, for example, very convenient. I reviewed it exactly a year ago during the Double 11 festival, so the price increased shortly after the video. But now during the Double 11 festival it is only $22 for a set of 2 again. And when you realize that this is for 2 squares, 4 mini clamps, perfectly packed, and in most cases including shipment, it is an insane price. However, the price is for a 10 cm version, and in the case of these squares I think the bigger is better. The following product is this T-ruler from Veiko, and I like these products very much and they are among the most used items in my shop. And I reviewed this big T-ruler in episode 19 and rewarded it 5 stars. And I still love this T-ruler and I can highly recommend it. And I recently got this Veiko T-ruler, and that has a slightly different design, and although the design is personal, there are minor differences that can decide that one fits you better than the other. The Drillpro T-ruler has a more brushed finish and it looks nice but gives a bit more reflection. However, the numbers and marks stay reasonably visible. The connection with the T-piece is more complex with the Drillpro and holds both pieces firmly and in line with each other. But this also asks for very tight tolerances in the production process. It's hard to adjust it when necessary. The connection of the Veiko might be simple, but it is sturdy enough and gives you the possibility to adjust it to make it perfectly square if necessary. So I do not consider this a bad thing. The Veiko has all the numbers written from one direction, and I mostly use my T-ruler from the right side, and that makes all the numbers easily readable. Especially when using the holes, I think it's the most natural way to read them. And with the Drillpro, at one side the numbers are upside down, making it a little bit harder to read. The holes are 1 mm, and this does not mean you cannot use it with smaller pencils. As long as you let the ruler move your pencil, it will always center. That said, a 1 mm pencil will give the most stable results. And these T-rulers come in different sizes, and when your budget allows it, it's nice to have different lengths. And the biggest Veiko is 760 mm, which is a lovely size, and the biggest Drillpro 600. And because I prefer to have products like this from one brand, my personal choice will slightly lean to the Veiko T-ruler. But again, all the differences are small. These two rulers are pre-production rulers, and they sent it to me for my opinion. And the only suggestion I could make was to increase the readability slightly. I like the sharp lines, but you just need to focus a bit more than necessary. And although it's not a big thing, I'm glad they improved it on that point. It will come with better to read marks and numbers now. and they sent me the new ones, but they did not arrive yet. And the only reason why I wanted to review them already is that I think it's an excellent product, and now with the Double 11 festival you can save some money. And they start at only $16 for a 300mm version to less than $35 for this 760mm beast. And this is my scoring card. We cannot make narrow cuts this way. The narrowest cut is around 28 centimeters. And if you want to use this system for narrow cuts, we need the stock guides again. And I set the first flip stop at 100 millimeters and put the stock guide in place. I place the backstop against the second flip stop and tighten it. And to align with the cut line, we hold a square against the rail guide and place the plastic tip against it by moving the last flip stop towards the square. And now we know that 100 mm on the scale corresponds with 0. Now we can set up the width of the cut. And the easiest way would be by sliding the flip stop to a scale at the sides. Unfortunately, there's none, so I placed one myself. An alternative way is to use the scale at the top by entirely placing the flipstop against this scale. But the screw of the flipstop is too long, so you have to eyeball a little. Or make the screw a bit shorter so you can hold the flipstop against the scale. But now we can make the cut. And I have to be honest that this works again better than I thought it would do. So in the end, what do I think about the system? Eventually this system works, and I was able to make very accurate repeatable cuts. And to make narrow cuts also works, but I found this a bit less convenient. And I wouldn't say I like that some essential marks and scales are missing. Although it's not that hard to work around it or place them yourself, it's simply not as it should be, which I found a bit hard to accept. Or I missed something, and in that case I'm really sorry. And if you only work with a track saw, a system like this makes accurate work possible. And I never had a woodpecker's parallel guide system, and although I assume it is much better, for $110 you get a lot of parts that are really nicely built. And if you are on a tight budget and you do not mind adding 20 centimeters to the scale readings or subtracting 10 centimeters for narrow cuts, which is of course not that hard to do, I can understand you can be happy with the system, because it works. So in the end, based on the price, and you now know exactly what you get, this is my scoring card. Well, that was the end of this video. I hope you liked it and didn't mind that I mentioned the Double Sales event so much. I will only do that one time a year. But they give me some prices of products I tested, and it's really an interesting moment to visit the site. And for those who are interested, I will show you how I calibrated the parallel guide systems without the marks now, but that is after. I want to thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we will see each other next time. To calibrate the system, you can use your splinter guard as a reference or choose to make an actual cut. And we clamp the guide rail so we can attach the main body of the parallel guide system without moving the guide rail. We placed the first flipstop at precisely 100 mm. And we position the first flipstop at exactly 300 mm to my cut by sliding the ruler bar. Now we only have to add 200 mm to the scale to get an exact measurement. To calibrate both sides, we place the narrow stock guides on the two flip stops, and we fasten the last flip stop to the stock guide and gently push the plastic tip against the square. After this, we see at what number on the scale the last flip stop is positioned. In my case, it sits at 172 mm. We now just have to place the flip stop from the other side to the exact same place and place the plastic tip of the rod against the cut line by sliding the ruler bar. Now we have calibrated left and right and placed the scale, so we just have to add 20 cm to the scale reading. And this is a one-time calibration.